On this week's show, how to buy a house without using any of your own money.
How to set up a successful sourcing business.
And we'll be answering all your property related questions. Welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're here every single Friday at 4 p.m. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an upload. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Enjoy this week's show and don't forget to share it with all your friends. I'm Russell Leeds.
I'm Alasdair Cunningham.
And welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. How are you doing, my friend? Good to see you.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really well.
What did you get up to last week?
I went to have a look around Ribersford House.
I saw that on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Is it how's progress?
Slow.
Yeah, it's always going to be slow with the type of building it is. It's never going to be a fast process, is it?
But it was I say slow. It has moved on quite a lot. Though.
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting. They've totally cleared it out. So there was a lot of old rubbish and that stored in some of the rooms. Totally cleared. They've got all the trees, because there were trees all around the building, which were causing a lot of the problems actually, because, as you know, when you've got trees pressed up against the building, it causes damp and it erodes the walls.
Was there any root problems, like tree roots going under the brickwork?
Nope, that's all fine.
Awesome.
That's all fine. The Japanese knotweed has gone.
Has it?
Completely gone, which is good. They had scaffolding all around the edge of the building.
I see Anna put a picture of the scaffolding up. It looks like humongous. Like there's loads, isn't there?
It's ridiculous amounts of scaffolding. They've been putting it up for 5 weeks.
That'll be costing you a chunk to rent that, I tell you. That won't be a cheap rental for that scaffolding. How's the roof? Is the roof still missing?
So what we're going to do for the roof?
Yeah.
The actual, because obviously the building is in 2 wings, so you've got the main part of the house, which is the original house, which is like dates back from William the Conqueror type. It's that old. And then about 300 years ago, 300 or 400 years ago, they added a wing on the side.
Cool.
So the wing on the side is actually the roof that's gone.
Right.
So what we're going to do, the other roof isn't great. Isn't great, but all the tiles are okay, but underneath it's leaking because there's holes and stuff underneath. Yeah. So what we're going to do, we're going to take off the original building. They're going to take every single tile off. They're going to re-felt it, put new wooden, basically fix the whole roof underneath, and then clean all the tiles and put them all back on
in the right place, right order.
And any that are missing, they're going to take off the other roof,
bits and bits, to
repair it, and then put a whole new roof on that side.
What actually caused the roof to fail? Was it just age, or was there a fire or something?
There was a storm.
Right. Okay.
Obviously a mixture of age, but there was a big storm, and it just collapsed. Collapsed in. So
has the budget been thrown out of the water yet? Is that increased?
So no, pretty much sticking so far to the budget. But what we were doing, which is the fun bit, the exciting bit, because we were going round and we were like planning out exactly how we're going to have it, going through the plans. So we're going to split it like this, like that. Because obviously at the moment it's 12 apartments in the main section of the house. We're planning on turning that into 10 or 11, which is less, obviously. Want to make them bigger. Yeah. A lot of them are really big anyway. Yeah. But I want them to be, if you go into the grounds of the house, you turn up, it's like really grand, massive entrance. I think it's got that luxury kind of feel, and the last thing you want is to cram a little apartment into that building. You want big rooms. You want it to be done absolute top spec. I think we want to make it. I want to live there. I'm not going to live there because it's too far. I don't want to live in Worcestershire. Okay. Nothing wrong with Worcestershire.
How far away from here is it?
It's about an hour and a half.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it took us 2.5 hours to get back in rush hour.
Oh, wow.
So it's too far from the office and everything. But if it was here, or if I lived up there, mate, I would live in this. Like, Samuel's tempted to move there anyway when it's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I think he's planning on moving into one of the apartments. Sweet. So that's what I was doing. Really exciting. And really enjoyed it. How about you?
Not a lot really. So a bit of training. We had the crash course obviously the weekend. That was pretty cool. We've got another one next week, which is again good. So yeah, it's cool.
Cool.
I love going to the crash courses. It's a bit of a buzz. Do you not find that?
Yeah.
1,000 people all rocking up, and then like seeing lives getting changed. Man, it's awesome.
Yeah. Amazing. Right. So on this week's show, first thing we'll be looking at is how to buy a house without using any of your own money.
Yeah.
The reason it says how to buy a house without using any of your own money is because you will need money to put in the first place, correct? Okay, so do you want to tell us about the strategy we're going to be talking about?
So most people will know it as buy, refurbish, refinance. You can add another R to the end of that and say rent out, or you could flip it. So I know Samuel's doing one at the minute in Darlington.
Yep.
My company, or our company BetterSourced, found that for him. And that property is, so it's about, I think he's buying it for £64,000. He's going to have to spend £10,000 to £12,000 on it. He bought it cash, so he's going to spend £10,000 to £12,000 on the refurb. So it needs a new kitchen, new bathroom, carpets, decorations, all that sort of stuff throughout. And then it would be worth, if you just go by what's been sold in the area and in the same street, it would be worth late 90s. Because like next door, for instance, bar one house sold for 96 grand. The house about 4 or 5 doors away, the other side, that sold for about 88 grand, all in the last sort of 12 months. The house Samuel's bought has actually got a conservatory as well, so it will add a little bit of value as well. So I think comfortably he'll be getting all his money back out, and some if he chooses to.
Yeah. So for those that don't understand it, so let's try and make it really simple. So if you buy a house for say £50,000,
yes,
and that's worth £100,000,
yeah.
Let's say, for example, you bought it for cash in this case.
Yeah.
So you buy, just to keep it really simple, so you buy it for £50,000, you spend £10,000 doing it up,
Yeah.
which then means it's worth 100. So your total investment is 60,
Plus fees, so about 66.
about 66. You then get a mortgage on the property because it's now valued at 100 for 75.
Yeah, standard buy to let.
Yeah. Which means that you can pull out that 75 grand.
Yeah.
So in that case, you'd actually make a bit of money out of it as well.
Yeah, so you pull out 75 grand, you pay back your 65, 66 grand. So you make.
You've got profit of about 8 grand, 9 grand, and then you've got a mortgage on the house. So basically, you've made you 25 grand in deposit plus your 8 or 9 grand. So that's kind of how the strategy works.
Yeah.
It used to be very big a few years ago.
Yeah, when you could refinance on the same day.
Yeah, because what you used to be able to, you didn't used to have to add value.
Yeah, now you have to add value.
You just buy it and go, oh, I bought it for 50, but really it's worth 100.
Yeah.
And then they'd go, that is.
There is some like specialist finance companies now where they will set up the initial loan to purchase the property.
Yeah.
And then they'll also set up the exit loan. So when you for this example, Samuel's using cash. But you could also use bridging finance. You would incur a few extra costs and things like that. But you could use bridging finance. You could speak to a company. They would set your bridge up, and they would also have your exit finance.
So if they bridged, how much money would you have to put in yourself?
So typically, you would only be bridged 70% of the purchase price.
So you need to put in 30%.
Approximately. Like, you need to speak to exact brokers because it does vary. There is cases where you can get 100% bridge. But it all depends on how much you're buying it for and the actual true done up value. So it's
when
not a straightforward answer to say how much that you'd have to speak to a broker.
Yeah. So when we say without using your own money, the idea and what a lot of people are doing is they're borrowing money.
Yep.
They're doing this. They're pulling all the money back out. They're giving the person their money back, and then they've got a free house, basically.
Essentially a free house, absolutely. So yeah, it's I don't like the no money down sort of banded sort of strategy that gets thrown around because you're always putting money down. It doesn't have to be your own money though. So be creative.
Yeah.
You can borrow money from JV partners. I know people that have borrowed money from family. I know people that have raised money just through personal loans. There's lots of ways to do this. You just have to be a bit more creative and think outside the box.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of like family members and stuff. The typical kind of thing is a lot of people give up 10%, don't they?
Yeah.
10% interest. It's a damn sight better than even the best banks, which are about 2.5%.
Absolutely.
And then you know.
The only thing to if you're going to borrow the money, say for instance, this question come up on the Property Investors with Simon Wood's Facebook group the other day. There's a guy who wants to raise a deposit for bridging, and he's trying to put it on credit cards. Now, for bridging that wouldn't be a problem because generally bridgers don't really care about where the money comes. Like they don't so much care about it's more about the property. But for a conventional, let's keep to conventional buy-to-let lending. I think you would struggle if you raised that deposit through a credit card. I think when it comes to the due diligence the bank have to do, you might struggle to get that through the affordability because obviously you've taken out a debt to buy the property.
My issue with the borrowing, I'm a big fan of leveraging.
Yeah, 100%.
A big fan of leveraging. My issue with it is if you did that without using any of your own money, and you don't have the money to back it up, if it goes wrong, and let's say the valuer, we've talked about valuers on the show loads of times, let's say the valuer turns around and goes, so you buy it for 50, you spend your 10 grand to get up to 60, you now think it's worth 100, and the valuer goes, 70.
Yeah, I know.
Right? And now you're in a position where you've lent people money, or you're relying on putting the money back out. Now, is it a bad deal? No. You've still made 10 grand, you know, but you haven't got enough money to pay them back.
The problem you're going to have, right, and this is why they talked about on a lot of the industry sort of Facebook groups, things like that, is you'll do that once. You'll not do it twice. So if you done that to me, for instance, I'm going to have sour grapes. I'm going to be like, well, hang on, he told me I'd get my money back.
Oh, yeah.
You'd ruin your reputation overnight.
Yeah.
I'm a great... listen, your reputation is key. It's far more important than any house, any property, any amount of money you can put in your bank. Reputation for me is invaluable. It is...
I think you should only do it... See, for example, what would be smart, in my opinion, let's say you had 30 grand in the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah? And then you did that deal. But you knew that if it went wrong, you've got the money where you can pay them off and you're okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then you could maybe do 2 at a time, and you know that if one of them goes wrong, I'm fine because I have got the money where I can bail it out if I need to.
Again, we talk about this all the time. Exit strategies. You have to have more than one exit strategy. If your only exit to this deal is it's going to be valued up and you're hoping the value is going to value it at X, and he comes in and upsets your day that day, you have to have another option or another exit. Because, like I say, it will ruin your reputation overnight. And nobody will want to work with you because, believe me, people talk. With the age of social media and all that sort of stuff, people are happy. They'll happily discuss all their business online.
Yeah.
Which is terrible, but it's just the way it is. So I think whatever you're going to do, you need to go in with more than one exit strategy. You have to be comfortable with the risk. And you have to be prepared to step in and fix it if it does go Pete Tong.
Where it was something like a lease option agreement, there's a lot less risk.
Yeah.
Because it's just an option that you've got. Whereas with this, you're kind of all in. Yep. You're kind of all in. And I think that I have seen people that have totally lost.
Do you know one thing I don't agree with?
What?
I'm going to put this out there. If you're in property... I
don't agree with that either, do you, Nick? If you're in property...
Just listen. Right, so if you're in property and you're looking to do one of these deals, but it will completely wipe your bank balance... It will completely mean you're broke and you've got no money left. You're maxed out on all your credit cards. I know people that are still doing it. They shouldn't be doing it. They should be waiting until they're more comfortable and they've got cushion. I'm sensing that Luke tells me he doesn't agree with that. But when you think about it, look, if that's everything they've got in that pot, everything's in that house, everything's in that deal, and it's all relying on a value, saying, yeah, it's actually worth 100k.
So hold on, let me get this straight. So they've got 30 grand in the bank.
Yeah.
And they're going to put it all into this deal. They're hoping to get their 30 grand back.
Yeah.
But if they don't, they've got nothing left.
So if they put 30 grand into it, borrowed money off somebody else to assist with the refurb, so now you're 40 grand into it, plus they're maxed out in credit cards to pay for legal fees, so they are maxed out. There's nowhere for them to go. And it puts strain on all sorts of things. So I would personally wait until they've got a little bit more saved up before doing it.
I think it's a fine line.
Yeah, it is a fine line. But
listen. When I got my first property, I had to really borrow like crazy to get it.
Yeah.
And it was tight.
Yeah.
Tight. But I'm really glad that I did.
Yeah, no, okay.
When are you ever going to stretch yourself to...
I'm not saying wait till all the ducks are lined up and never not do it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying make sure you've got a third exit, shall we say. Instead of a first and second, make sure you just need to have stuff in place, I think. Even if it's like a little credit card hidden away that's got a $5,000 credit limit. I think if worst case, if the budget runs over, if the refurb runs over, you're not going to be completely dependent on that money.
This sort of deal, I think, is the riskiest deals if you're relying on getting the money back out.
Yeah.
Because if you're just relying on getting a decent cash flow from a property, for example, because the buy refurbish finance deal is so good, I do think you've got to go into it thinking I might not be able to refinance this. I might not be able to. And if I can't, then I'm okay.
Do you know, somebody once said to me, right, he's a very successful property investor. He's got property all over, not all over Australia because it's huge, that's such a stupid statement. He's got like a lot of property in Australia. He lives in the UK, he manages it all from the UK. He once said to me, and I completely believe this, he says, you make the money when you buy, not when you sell. Because if you buy it correctly in the first place, everything else is easy. And the more I listen to that, and the more I think about that statement, it's so true. Because take buy refurbished.
The more you listen to it, did you record him saying it?
I did, yeah.
And every night when you go to bed, you're like, I believe that even more.
But the more I hear it, the more I believe it. Because when you think about it, buy refurbished, refinance, take that. Where's the money made? It's made at the beginning. No, it's made at the beginning. Because if you buy it,
it's made at both, isn't it?
Right, but if you
actually make the money at the end.
Right. Fine, okay, the money gets transferred to you at the end, but the deal stacks up at the beginning.
At the beginning, you're actually just giving money away.
Right, you're talking about the physical sort of action of handing money something. I'm talking about the money in the deal. So if you're buying it,
you've got to buy a smart property.
Yeah, but people underestimate that. They underestimate how critical it is to buy the correct property with at the correct price. They do, I'm telling you. Because I know so many people, and I see so many people and speak to so many people that I've done the buy refurbished refinance.
You say that, right?
But they're not valuing up.
But are you talking about with this strategy now?
Buy BRR.
When he said that, was he talking about BRR?
Well, he's talking about
property in general.
I'm just talking about BRR because we're talking about his house in Darlington.
So he was just talking about in general.
In general, buying a house without using your own money and then pulling it out.
That's what he was talking about. How did the conversation go?
Oh, Scott. Yeah, because that's what he does. He buys properties, refinances, pulls his money out. But he makes sure he negotiates the price properly in the beginning.
Yeah. I see his point.
Yeah, I see his point as well.
I see his point. I do agree with you, but at the same time,
you've just been awkward and argumentative.
I've always been awkward and argumentative. That's
the point. But it's true. Look, again, Facebook post I saw yesterday. A guy went to auction in Manchester, looking at a house that he told himself, and this is true. It's as true as it is on Facebook.
Must be true.
Must be true, 100%. But he openly admitted this. The house he was looking at, it was valued about £75,000, and the reserve was set at 65, and he said he was not going to pay a penny more than 70k for it. He paid 85,500 for it. It's on Facebook. I mean, what an idiot. He's already done himself at 15 grand because he got emotionally involved. Because he got in the hype of buying at auction.
Would you ever get emotionally involved with a house?
My home, yes. My investment.
You get emotionally involved with your home?
Yeah. We have relationships. No, that's weird. We don't.
I love the way you clarified.
That's so weird. Anyway, move on. No.
People are like, what? People are like, why does this property investor podcast have a 12 logo on it? It's because Alasdair talks about weird things.
But no, I don't know. What was the question?
I don't know. Something about you and a house.
Emotional attachment to houses. But my point being is this guy went to... Oh, man.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
Nick's just like put his head in his hands. It's just falling apart on the Property Investors podcast. That's how we roll. We just go with it, man. Right, anyway, so this guy bought a house at auction.
Yeah.
He paid 15.5k more than what he in his head he told me he was going to pay. And now he's already on the back foot when it comes to buy, refurbish, refinance. Because he's already 15 grand out of pocket.
That's
further down the line. Do you know what I mean? So his chances of pulling his money out are going to be less by £15,500.
Yeah.
So buy properly in the first place.
Yeah,
that's my argument on that.
Well, that's the skill. The skill is there's more. I say that it's all of what you got to sell it. You could sell it. You could sell it stupidly, couldn't you? And you've got to do it all right. But buying it is very important.
I think it's like anything. It doesn't matter what you do. Start off right. Everything else follows.
Yeah. But when you're doing the buy, refurbish, refinance strategy, the key things you need to know, and I think a lot of people guess.
Yes. Yeah.
But the key things you need to know are A, how much is it actually worth now?
Yeah.
Yeah. How much, once I've done it up, will it be worth? And get a RICS surveyor to go around and get how much, especially if you're doing title splits and stuff, how much will each one be worth? Mm-hmm. And then you need an accurate quote of how much it's going to cost.
That's another thing.
If you know those three figures, how much it is now, how much will it actually cost me, an accurate quote, and how much will it accurately be worth at the end, then you are golden.
You nailed it on the head with how much is it going to cost for like legals and title splits. Do you know how many people underestimate that? It's ridiculous.
Well, they forget. They just look at the build. And even the build, that people, how many times do builders go over budget? Well, you said to me when we talked about the castle, you were like, has it gone over budget yet? Is it? Do you know what I mean? You've got to factor all these things in.
Yeah. I had, speaking of over budget, right? I had a property in Doncaster getting refurbed for an investor, right? So they had to change the door frames for the fire doors. Mm-hmm. So they pulled the old door frames out, and then one tile came off the wall because it was tiled right up to the door frame. So they pulled the door frame off, tile came off. So then they did say originally they're going to just put that tile back on because the tiles were fine. Just put that tile back on, regrout it or whatever. But then apparently the guy started just, as he was doing the other ones, he knocked another couple off. And before you know it, we got to retile the whole kitchen, and then he's got to reseal all around the kitchen worktops. And he ended up damaging the sink because a tile came off and damaged the sink because it's got a ceramic sink, so it chipped the sink. So before you know it, just a standard door frame ended up being a new tiled kitchen. And
then he chipped the brickwork. He got a bulldozer and he's like, right, let's just build the house.
Let's
just start again.
You know it's telling when a builder's going to go overboard because they always deep breath in, scratch the head, that's going to cost you, that is. So, yeah.
Well, that's why whenever I go to I take, because Chris, who works for us, obviously used to be a builder, I take him with us to every because the truth is, I don't really know much about the building trade.
Yeah, we've picked that up.
You've picked that up, right. So, like, if I went round and they went, that's going to cost X,
you would just pay it. He'd be like a dream to a builder. They just say, yeah, it needs 40 grand spending.
I'm the same with like mechanics. A mechanic could pull the wool out because I'm not practical. I've never learned. Do you know when people say, "Oh, did your dad not?" No,
his dad showed you magic.
I've never learned anything along. Like I'm not practical. I mean, I can change a light bulb.
I was going to say, can you change a light bulb?
Yeah, I can change a light bulb. But I don't know what stuff cast or anything. So I always have Chris with me. And it really shows, actually, that you don't have to be an expert. No, you don't. You just have to get the right people around you. So I always go with Chris. And then whenever they quote, I just look at Chris. And then Chris will go like, really? Or he'll be like, well, no. What you do is you do this. And he goes, you don't need that. That's fine. That's fair. Yeah. And I'm just like, yeah.
I'm saying
what he said.
I'm the same with my dad. My dad's been in building trades for like 40 years. He's a joiner, and now he's...
So you've been brought up with it, so you know the crack.
Been brought up with
Maybe I should bring you around with me as well.
I'll come, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can help you with your car as well, seeing as I was a commercial mechanic for like 15 years.
There you go. That's why he's got such big, beefy hands.
Big hands.
You know what I say about men with big hands?
Yeah.
Big gloves.
Big gloves.
Yeah. So... I think we kind of covered that. Should we move on? We're going to move on now to how to set up a successful sourcing business.
Oh, I can help with that.
Well, so can I. It's something that we've both been involved with, which is great. If you haven't read a copy of Alasdair's book, Whatever It Takes, it goes over that in detail. So let's talk about that right now. So coming up next, we're going to be talking about how to start a successful sourcing business. And there's no better person to tell you how you can do that than myself. Than Alasdair, who has obviously done that very successfully this year. Yeah. So it's something that you've done that's very current.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not like, he did one 10 years ago. So it's very current.
Still... I do it daily. We have staff that work for the business now and assist with that. So it's we're doing it all the time.
When did you put out this book?
January 1st. It became available early part of January, so I think it was January 1st. January
1st. This came out this year, January 1st.
Yeah.
And basically this goes on your journey, it's your journey, but mainly last year, wasn't it? Your journey.
Yeah. So from the late part of 2017.
There's a little bit of background, but pretty much it's just last year, isn't it? And it kind of goes through how you set up the sourcing company, how you got into property, what you do. So what would you say was the first step, if there's someone out there that wants to set up a sourcing company, what would you say was the very first thing they need to do?
Okay, well, there's sort of two stages. Before you sell a deal, you need to become compliant. There's no two ways about it. You have to become compliant. However, if you are delaying that and you want to build an investors list first, and then before you sell a deal, make sure you're compliant. But you could spend a couple of months finding investors. So perhaps find some investors.
How long do you think you need to spend, A, finding investors, but B, I mean, there might be people that have never bought a property. How much training do you think needs to go into learning how to find deals?
Okay, yeah, it's not something you're going to do overnight. You need experience, and you need to be attending training events. I attended lots. Plus I've got a background in property from when I've spent my whole life around property. My family are in the building trade, so I can spot a good property. I know roughly how much things cost. I've not been a property investor, shall we say, for since before 2017. But I've been around the building trade all my life. And so to answer the question, I think whoever is looking to do sourcing or property selling, you need to be getting involved, maybe tag teaming with somebody who is already doing it, getting experience. The Academy program has massively helped because there's lots of programs on there that cover all the strategies, which is a great thing. Crash courses, all that sort of stuff. Get along to the events, get out looking at houses. You're not going to become a deal sourcer. I do not agree 100% with any deal sourcer that sells a property without viewing it. It's just not on. I don't agree with it.
A lot of them do. It's
ridiculous. They find properties on just wherever, Rightmove, I don't know, Gumtree, whatever. They find them wherever they are, and they just sell them as leads. And they've never been there. Every single property that BetterSourced sells has been viewed by myself, one of my team, or one of our approved partners, all of whom have done the training, and they've been through the training programs, and they're all experts in looking at property. They're not just people that have just said, "Oh, I'm going to look at property today and go and have a look." Yeah. Because there's a big difference between looking at property for your home and looking at property for an investment.
Do you think there's a lot of deal sources that set up that don't have the I don't want to say they earn the right, but don't have the authority really to go and sell a deal? Because like what? You know, when you sell a deal, you need to be an expert, really, don't you?
I would want, to be honest, right? It's not a massive issue if somebody's been through a couple of training courses and then they've set up a deal sourcer, as long as they've got the right training behind them and they've got the right backup. I would want the person I'm buying a lead for an investment property off to be an investor themselves.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, I'm an investor. I've got 4 properties now. I know the pitfalls of a landlord. Just before we filmed this, I'm on the phone to pest control because I've got mice in one of my properties in Woodstock, and I've got to sort that out before my next guests arrive. I've got a property with 2 tenants I've just left abandoned, and I know it's not a big deal, but they nicked the bedding. But we've got to deal with this sort of stuff. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? But we've got to deal with this sort of stuff. So I'm an investor and I'm a landlord. I'm an investor and landlord. I'm businessman. So I would always want to know that the person you're dealing with has got a bit of a reputation.
Yeah.
Good reputation. And
so would you recommend at least buying a couple of properties yourself before you go into deal sourcing?
I think so, yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I really do. And also, I mean, it comes back to reputation. I've told you off camera this. I mean, I'm at the minute helping.
Or do you know the alternative you could do?
Go on.
The alternative is you could deal source for free for some properties, and then once you're confident that then find an experienced investor and say, can I find you some deals for free?
Yep.
Finding the deals, work with him and make sure that he's happy with it. But you can't just go out there and go on a training course and then go, I'm a deal sourcer now. You know, maybe if you went on some seriously advanced training, like if you went for the academy,
I've done some seriously advanced training. So,
but yeah, I think that you should do. And the other good thing about doing that is that if you're going to have some really good testimonials.
Yeah.
So when you start, you can say, I work with this, I've worked with him, rather than just. You know, because people will, an investor will grill you. They'll say, so who have you deal sourced before? I haven't. How many properties do you? I don't.
Yeah.
And why the hell should we buy from you?
Why would we buy from you?
You've got to, and also for yourself, you're going to believe in what you can do a lot more if you've already done it. The alternative is you could team up with a deal sourcer and say, so rather than finding an investor, you could say, hey, can I find you some deals for you to sell? And then you could learn what they do and how they do it. And again, you could do it for free.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with working for free to begin with.
No, it's not.
Every business I've ever done, I've done work for free in the early days in order to. I mean, we still do that. Yeah, so have you.
Yeah.
It's not a bad technique, is it?
No, it's not a bad technique. It's very not at all. Let me tell you something, right? I see this a lot. There's a lot of deal sources that have popped up. Like, I'm all for people trying and starting a new business, but you got to do it right. If you're going to do anything, do it right. There's no point in doing anything half-arsed, right? Now, there's a lot of deal sources popped up. They don't have like compliance set
And then they're
up.
like $5,000.
Yeah, they don't have like things. They don't have proper terms and conditions. They don't have like the proper paperwork in place.
You shouldn't be charging in my opinion, high fees when you haven't got.
Exactly. But look, I'm dealing with a guy. I'm helping a couple of clients at the minute who they've used a couple of these random deal sources who are not compliant, who don't have proper terms and conditions, and one particular client's out by £14,000 to this one particular deal sourcer in the UK who is refusing, who sold them 3 deals that never even existed or materialized. They never ever came to realization, and they can't get their money back because the guy's saying, well, I'm not giving you your money back. You bought a deal, it fell through, basically tough. And that is what is wrong with this industry, because that guy should be in freaking prison. He would be, and I'll tell you what, if you owed me that money, I'd be getting it back. So anyway,
I love it when the gangster Alasdair comes
no,
out
I think it's disgusting. It's disgusting behaviour. Do you not agree?
with his big hands.
My big hand. It's disgusting behaviour. That's why if you're going to do deal sourcing ethically, morally correct, and with a good heart, you'll always do well. Always do well, because that's what lacks in this industry. So some of the setup. Should we go into the setup side of things?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, make sure you can actually do it. Go and practice it.
Yeah.
Find an investor, find a deal source, and work for free. When Samuel started, I did know this, but I'd kind of forgotten. Did you listen to his radio interview the other week?
When he was on Graham
BBC.
Late Night Love with Graham Torrington.
It's not Late Night Love.
No, he used to be. Do you know Graham Torrington used to do Late Night Love?
I
He
didn't
did.
know that
He used to
until-
do a Late Night Love program. But anyway, it's now just Late Night with Graham Torrington.
Did you listen to his Late Night Love?
Yeah. I used to listen, swaying away, listening to mellow music and that on. So anyway, how did that go? I missed it. But how did
when
it go?
he started, he wanted to buy HMOs.
Yeah.
He offered to manage people's HMOs for free.
Yeah.
Just so he could understand the business and get his head into it. And he actually said he struggled to let him do it for free, because at the time he was like 17.
Do you know the problem is most people will be like, I'm not working for free. Like they want to be paid for everything. My point being is that you'll learn so much by working for free with people. And that's not that. By the way, guys, that's not an offer for me to suddenly get an influx of emails offering to work with me for free. We do have a set process for how we take people on. So yeah, I do get that questions a lot.
Did that chimney
Did you just hear that? I think we've got a couple of birds in the chimney. Anyway, I do have a process for how we take people on. So please don't bombard me with emails of offering to.
So first of all, get your head in the game. You got to understand how to find deals, how to sell it, etc., etc., etc. Next, compliance.
Yes.
Property
redress scheme.
Don't bore me with the compliance, but just tell me the brief.
Okay. Property redress scheme.
Okay. So what is that?
Property redress scheme. So it's a government. It's an ombudsman body that if you have a customer complaint that you don't deal with effectively and that customer's not happy, they can go to a completely independent property ombudsman and they will then take on that complaint.
And then they will basically say, so like you'll put your side, they'll put theirs. It's a bit like a judge, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Other than the fact that you don't have to listen to them, but they'll basically say, I think we should do this, and normally you both go, okay, then here you go, we'll meet in the middle.
Yeah, I think at that point you need to be sorting out. Anyway, so property redress scheme, you need to be registered for anti-money laundering because property is the biggest vehicle for laundering money. You do that on HMRC. You need to have data protection license. You need to have insurance.
Cool. So there you go.
There is other stuff to the compliance. It's not as straightforward as that. I do cover it in the book, whatever it takes. Don't ignore compliance. It's a lot more in depth than that. Like for instance, you have to have good business practices. You have to store data properly. You have to do client due diligence on how the investors got the funds and where they've come from and things like that. So we've literally just covered it in very brief, but it is quite an in-depth topic.
Brilliant. And you also touched on investors, because obviously it's one thing, there's sort of two main aspects to it.
Yeah.
You're very much acting like a middleman in this.
Yeah.
Which a lot of the best businesses do that. You like Uber, for example. They don't
own a taxi, do they?
Taxis. They just literally link the driver with the passenger.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is the same, i.e. you're linking the investor with the seller. You're kind of an extra middleman because Rightmove and that do that. You're just going, well, choose this one, basically.
Pretty much.
Or Gumtree or whatever, which is good. So you're very much acting as the middleman. So basically it's a sales job.
Yeah.
And a marketing job, as in once you've found your product, the house, you need to be able to package it and then have a list of people that are interested in buying it.
Yes.
So the key really to being successful as a deal sourcer is being able to have a big list of investors that trust you and are happy to buy your deals. So how do you go around adding, or how many do you get added to your list every week?
So I'm adding between 40 and 60 investors a week to my database.
Okay, and how do you do that?
Networking like crazy.
Yeah.
I attend a lot of events. I speak whenever I get the opportunity to speak. My book is a massive advert for my business. So I get a lot of investors come through that. And just contacts. I go to a lot of events. And
you run a podcast?
This is an advert for my company, BetterSourced Ltd. See, just done a plug. All this sort of stuff. Facebook, all that sort of stuff. I never ever...
Twitter.
Instagram, not yet Twitter, but I never ever advertise a deal on Facebook. You'll never see my company advertising a deal on Facebook. We advertise our service on social media. So that advert then directs people to my mailing list. They then go into my marketing funnel and in the funnel, and then they get the information, they get the deals through that way. I've got an 8-step step by step to finding investors and how I find it.
The 8-step process to finding investors.
Yeah, that's it.
Where's that in here then?
Keep going.
Aha. Sourcer, is that it? No? That's your 7-step.
That's my 7th step to setting up as a sourcer. So I cover it all, man. Look at that. Cover it all. 7 steps to setting up as a successful sourcer.
Yeah, I bet this book's really expensive, isn't it?
No. It's cheap as chips.
Chips aren't that cheap anymore. I went to the chip shop the other day and I was like, they're going to have to change the saying. It's not to like cheap as... I don't know, nothing's cheap anymore, is it?
And my 1, 2, 3, 4...
Cheap as Alasdair.
And my 8-step guide, step by step, of how I find investors week in, week out. All in the book. And
it's called Investors. That's clever.
It is, isn't it?
Identify network value, engage, seminars, tell, online reputation. Nice. And then you obviously break it down into each. It's really good, mate. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, how much are you making from deal sourcing at the moment?
Okay, well, when the book was written, we made 26. When we very first got involved, 26 grand in 8 weeks. BetterSourced is now doing about £40,000 a month.
It's all right, isn't it?
Not bad, is it?
It's all right. It's better than a kick in the teeth.
Yeah, 100%. And we're not even pushing it that much. We're focusing more on doing it properly as opposed to like mass. Let's just get loads and loads out there. Yes, there might be people out there doing more. Happy days, good on you.
And you've got to a situation now where you spend about 1 day a week on it.
Yeah, 1-2 days a week. I've got staff in place to do everything. So I've got really good operations manager. I've got staff that are out looking at properties. I've got a team of like a build team expert, so they would go out and view properties. It's good. So it's not just me. I'm just the face of it. I actually have very little to do with the day-to-day of it.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for that. So if you are interested in setting up as a deal sourcer, I hope that you found that valuable. And also, I would definitely recommend getting a copy of Alasdair's book.
And also, if you've got my book and you've read it already, please do jump on Amazon and leave me a review. I'd love that. They can buy the book on Amazon. I'm sure Nick will put a link somewhere.
A content link?
No, I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway, Nick will put a link. If you have read it, I'd love a review on Amazon. I'd much appreciate that.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Right, it's now time for our questions and answers. Okay, so we've had a question come in from Dan Bull. Hello, Russell. Hope you and Alasdair are well. Yeah, pretty well.
Yeah, good, man.
If you had 50k, what would be the best thing to invest in to get the best out of your money? I should mention that you already have, he's really putting me in their shoes now, that you already have a mortgage on the house that you live in now. Thanks. It very much depends on what you want, Dan. So if you're after cash flow, then you could do things like rent to service accommodation. I mean, if you invested 50k into that, you could be making a hell of a lot of money out of it, but you'd have obviously you wouldn't own anything. What would I do? If I had 50k, I think we did a video very similar with 30k.
30k, yeah.
Very similar to this. So I would definitely go and check that out. I think it was very early on. It might be episode 2 or 3 of the podcast. I think it's like, if you had 30k to invest, what would you spend it on? But short answer, I think we both gave slightly different answers. But
I can't remember, to be honest, but it was a long time ago. 50k, I wouldn't put it all into rent to rent because you don't own anything. So I would maybe use... I
think we maybe said like one rent to rent and then maybe a HMO or something.
I would use probably 40 of it to buy a decent HMO, a decent size, maybe 6-7 bedrooms. And I would put the other 10k into a couple of rent to rent apartments somewhere, or maybe like a good city centre location. Yeah. I wouldn't put it all in. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
No, cool. And if you, for more detail, go and look back at the previous episodes. So next question from Craig Newton. Hi mate, here's a question. Hi mate.
Hey.
Me and my brother have just found out we inherited a house. It needs a lot of updating. Windows, electrics, bathrooms, new kitchen. It's a 2 to 3 bed end terraced in Coventry. Here's the kicker. It's about a 10-minute walk from Warwick University, so it's an ideal rental. Me and my brother did consider renting, but I think we dismissed it simply because it could get complicated. One of us might want to pull out in the future. What if we have bad tenants? What are your thoughts? What would you advise? Thanks in advance.
I'll take this one. Give me a call, I'll buy it off you. Simple as that. If you want to get rid, let us know. We'll buy it off you. We'll certainly look at it. I think. But look, if you're going to do it together,
I wouldn't do it together.
I wouldn't do it together because I don't mix.
And then invest your half.
I was going to say I don't mix business and families, because sometimes it can go a bit sour. I know you and Samuel have done really well at it, but sometimes. You've already suggested there that your brother might want to pull out and things like that. So potentially what I would do is I'll sell it as it is, which again, if you want to get in touch, I'm happy to look at that. Or like you buy him out, or he buys you out, but I would say only one of you should own it and rent it out, or just sell it as it is.
You could either sell it as is, or you could invest in it, then sell it.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know. What
there's ways around everything.
I would definitely take Alasdair's offer to come and have a look at it, and he can either buy it off you or advise you on what he would recommend. All right, cool. I hope that was useful, Craig. Ryan Cottrell, hi. Could you walk through the first deals you sold and how you got to it, Alasdair?
Ryan, okay. I'm going to come back to my book here, guys. Let me just find it. Dun, 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 dun. Page 29. Guys, it's in the book. My first property deal. Page 29. Basically, my first property deal was to an investor in London. He works for a big bank. He doesn't have the time, inclination, knowledge to go out and look at houses. So I found the property and I advertised it through Russell and Samuel's business and to their list of net investors, and this guy got in touch and he went for it, and it was a little 4-bed property that got converted into a HMO, and it's now making I think £1,360 a month, something like that. So it's a good little investment. So sold directly to an investor. I think the fee was £2,700.
Cool.
So it's good.
Brilliant.
What's so funny?
Oh no, sorry. Someone has been sending me screenshots of me looking bored while you're talking, and I was just sitting there like this, and I suddenly thought, oh, I probably look really bored. Man. I do apologise. Not just now.
Hi Russell, this is from Craig Lord.
It's going to become a thing, isn't it? Now I've mentioned it. People are going to be waiting and they'll be taking screenshots of me looking bored while you're talking. I do apologise.
Okay, so Craig Lord. Hi, Russell.
Hi, Craig Lord.
Why are you so mean to Alice now? How do you find one-room apartments for SA perform against two-bedroom apartments? Is there a specific audience for one-bedroom units?
Yeah, I mean, all hotels are one-bedroom units. And they do all right.
Do you know, that is a good point. I've never even thought about it like that. It's a very good point.
Yeah, so yeah, they work. I mean, even studios.
Yeah,
it's no different to it. Might affect you're going for a slightly different market. I think normally if you go for if you've got a 2-bed, you're not really competing with hotels because you're looking for people that have got a family maybe or something. Yeah. But yeah, I mean 1-beds work really well as well.
I mean the basics will tell you that 2 beds will always make more money than one bed.
Depends on the price you're getting it for. It'll obviously rent out for more, but will it make you more money overall because you've got to pay more for it? Who knows?
Depends, yeah.
But I think they both work.
Jack Heath. Hi, Russell.
Hi, Jack Heath.
If you're a first-time buyer, would you consider buying a standard mortgage on a house that needs a bit of work, fix it up into a buy-to-let mortgage, and then remortgage it down the line? Okay, so I'm assuming... right, so you wouldn't buy it on a residential standard mortgage.
Is your plan to rent it out, though? If so, can't really do that.
You've got to be careful here about mortgage fraud. Listen, if you buy something with the intention of renting it out, it could technically be mortgage fraud. Speak to a mortgage broker and take their advice. When you go and speak to them, lay the cards out on the table, be completely open, transparent and honest with them, and you'll get the right answer. Just be very careful of doing things where you might get blacklisted within the mortgage companies, because it does happen. All the mortgage companies speak to each other, so if you get blacklisted by one, you're going to be blacklisted by them all.
Yeah. So I'll be careful about that. James Flanagan has said, still need a script as to what to say to landlords when asking about rent-to-rent, HMO, or rent-to-rent, etc. It's a little bit tricky to come up with a set script that we give out to everyone, because it does depend a little bit on your personal situation.
Yep.
Because when you ring up, you're a different person to when I ring up, so you've got a different story. I think it's important that you know in your head exactly what you want and what your story is when you ring up, and then you keep it consistent. Mm-hmm. But basically, just to give you a rough idea, when you ring up, first of all, if you're ringing direct to vendors, so you look on places like Gumtree, so you're not going to be going through a letting agent per se. When you ring up, they are selling to you, not the other way around. You've got to remember that. You're just ringing up, inquiring about their property. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't worry about it too much to begin with. I would literally just ring up, ask them questions about the property. So like, hi, is that Alasdair? Hi Alasdair, I saw your ad on Gumtree. You've got an apartment available in Birmingham City Centre. But can I ask you a few questions about it? And then build a bit of rapport, and no script, no selling needed. You're just talking to him about his property.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it off a script, to be honest, at all, because it becomes scripted, and it would become like when you're speaking to these call centres and they can't divert from the script.
Don't agree with you there, but I think you need to write your own based on this.
I think you need to have an understanding of what you got to spend. If you know this, if you know rent to rent, right? If you know what you're doing, you don't need a script.
So, okay, I don't agree with it. So once you've built the rapport and stuff, and you've asked the questions that you've scripted in the best way, because otherwise, if you just do it different every time, you're not going to get the best results. You want to know exactly what you're going to say and script it. But once you've done that, you're then going to go into telling them about what it is that you're doing, what you're looking for. And I think the best thing at this point is to be honest with them. Yep. So I would say something along the lines of, brilliant, it looked perfect. What I'm actually looking for, I'm looking at managing the property for you, doing it on short-term lets, and have a list of some of the advantages that you've got for the landlord. So, for example, okay, and I wouldn't use these to begin with, but you want to have these up your sleeve for when they... Sorry, I'm just stretching my leg.
Oh, no, just
for when they ask you questions, such as, it's going to be a guaranteed rent.
Yeah.
I'm happy to take it on a long-term contract.
Yeah.
I will take care of small maintenance issues.
Yep.
All you won't have to manage it yourself. I will manage it for you. All these things that are going to be advantages for them. So when they come back to you with questions, you can go, yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, but blah, 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 blah. And then my kind of close at this stage over the phone, I don't get them to agree to it. I just want them to know what I'm doing and agree to me viewing it.
Yeah.
So my close is just, look, I'm free on Tuesday at 12, or I can do Wednesday at 5. Which one works best for you?
Yeah, give them 2 options. Always give them 2 options.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, when can I view it? Exactly what you've just done. Always give them 2 options, because then they have to pick one.
So that's kind of, and this is why I think you should script it. I think you should think about what you're going to say. Think about your story, your company, or whatever it is that you're doing, so you know the answers. Because when you ring up, if you've not done this before, you might freeze up or say something stupid or forget exactly what you're supposed to do. But if you've scripted it, you don't have to read it like a script. But let me ask you a question. I think I've said this to you before.
Okay.
Braveheart, for example.
Yeah.
I know you'll like that film because it's about the Scottish
Freedom.
Yeah, but Braveheart, when he gives that speech, it's good, good speech,
Very
isn't it?
good speech. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Right, you won't believe this, right? It was scripted.
Yes, I know it was scripted.
If they'd said to Mel Gibson, right,
Just go wing it.
This is the gist, right? Go for it. Would it have been as good as when they scripted it and got him to say it then?
No, but it was scripted in the sense
Yeah.
that he knew it. He
Yeah.
didn't have it sat in front of him.
No, so this is the thing,
So he
right?
didn't have it sat there, did he?
When we read out the points at the start,
Yeah.
right, we write them out.
Yeah.
Why do we do that?
Just because so we remember.
So we say it better, don't we, when it's written
Yeah,
out?
but okay, look, when I say don't script it, what I mean is you should know it.
Yeah, I
You
agree
should
with
know
that.
it.
You should
So
know it.
I'm not saying don't have notes. I'm just saying don't have a bullet point script, so that if the landlord says, well, isn't it subletting, you then read off word for word what the answer to that is. No, it should be natural and flowing.
Yeah, you need to
if you look at all
learn
the
it.
best speakers in the world, do they have notes? Do they have scripts?
Listen. Mel Gibson,
Yeah,
right? He didn't read it.
exactly. He
He
knew it.
scripted it, but he knew it.
Yeah.
You should do the same thing with this.
Yeah,
You
I
script
agree with
it,
that.
but you know it. And then you pick and choose which bits you
Yes,
need as and when you need
I
it.
do agree with that. What I don't agree with is just reading it off a script. A lot of people
Because you don't
do
want
that.
to say it like you don't want to go,
But it sounds robotic.
in this week's show, how to buy a house without any of your own money. You
Look,
don't
it
want to
sounds
do that.
rubbish. Yeah, exactly.
But if I can still read it and say, in this week's show, it's how to buy a house without using, and I'm saying it normally.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it as if I'm
I
reading
agree
it.
with that.
So you agree you should script it?
I agree. You should script it
Good,
and have
good.
notes.
That's it. We're done.
I
We
just
agree.
don't, just
We
don't
agree.
read it as a script.
It's fine. We agree. So there you go. I hope that was helpful.
One more question. A guy called Paul Green. Well, it's not really a question. It's a bit more of a statement. Lease options, if you can, lads. What about them? What do you want to know, man? Can you be a bit more specific? So let's just cover it. I don't know. Should we just cover lease options in basic? Yeah, no?
Go on. Yeah.
Huh?
Go on.
Okay, so lease options basically buy now, pay later. Maybe send a more detailed question in next week, Paul. That would be awesome.
Or just a question.
Or just a question. Yeah. Cheers, man.
Brilliant. Guys, thanks ever so much for tuning in. Paul, we look forward to your question and which we can talk about next week. Do not forget, we are here every single Friday at 4 o'clock. Don't forget to tune in, share with all your friends and family if you found it useful, and we will see you next week.
See you guys.